Yes, welcome back to Classic Dirt Bike TV and welcome to round 2 of the Scottish Classic Scrambles 2024 Championship right here at Wittas Park. Yes, thanks for joining me again as we continue with episode 2, featuring more of the racing highlights from the Scottish Classic Round 2 event from Ian Ridley's Wittas Park facility near Bassenthwaite. So let's get straight into our next race, which of course is the third race of the day for the vintage bikes of the pre-68s up to and over 350cc and the pre-1975s up to and over 300cc. So it looks like Darryl Wiley's made a fantastic start there on one of his 350 4-stroke Honda bikes. Some very quick riders as well in this class, as you're just about to find out, but it looks like our early leader as they make their way up the hill is that man again, number 125, Ian Stainton, riding that Alan Clues Stroker machine. Now these Clues Strokers that Ian Stainton's riding, but of course the very first bikes that Alan Clues put together soon after he bought over what was left of the old BSA competition department, and Alan built these Clues Strokers just prior to forming CCM motorcycles. So we're just taking another look there at number 310 in the black there. That's Scott Remington on his lovely BSA Gold Star. That's another bike that we had a look at during our paddock walkabout. So we're just looking at some of the riders completing their first lap, and here's your race leader. It's number 98, Liston Bell, who this time looks like he's out on his Jawa again, because he was racing his Jawa in the first race of the day, which suffered some kind of mechanical issue. So it looks like Liston's managed to get that bike sorted, and he's back out riding that big 4-stroker. Number 20 there is Stuart Rodin, also riding one of those Alan Clues CCMs. So you can see here on lap 2 that Liston has quite a decent lead on the second place man, so he's looking good at this stage on the big 4-stroke single Jawa machine. I think that's a 500 or possibly even a 600 bike, doing a bit of smoking there, but nevertheless going very well in this race. Number 125 is Ian Stainton, again being chased once more by number 28, Mike Walker. So it's still Liston Bell, your race leader, as we take a look at second place man Ian Stainton just going through, with Mike Walker in third. Darryl Wiley there, who got the whole shot in this race, is currently in fourth position on the 350 Honda. Number 12 just coming into shot there is Simon Barker, and there we have Scott Remington once again on his old Gold Star. And of course we still have a lot of racing to bring you from this round 2 event here at Wittas Park. There will be an episode 3 with all of the remaining races from this event, so I do hope you're enjoying all of the racing footage from this Wittas Park venue. So there's your second and third placed riders. Ian Stainton in second with Mike Walker in third, but Liston Bell coming across the line to complete another racing lap. As we take a look at number 28, that's Mike Walker on that old vintage KTM, and Mike's been going very well here at Wittas Park. I think he's more or less chased Ian Stainton the entire afternoon, but he's still going well on that old KTM. So we're looking up to the top end of the racetrack, and the rider in yellow there is number 12, that's Simon Barker on his lovely little Honda CR250 Elsinore, and he's been chased by number 20, Stuart Roden on the CCM. Now that bike of Stuart Roden's is of course not a fully original bike, but nevertheless a cracking looking machine nonetheless. So there's your race leader crossing the line to complete another lap. It's still Liston Bell, your race leader, and here's the battle for second and third. It's still Ian Stainton, number 125, who is being pursued by Mike Walker, number 28. And both of those riders just coming up to pass number 246. That's Ian Ward riding his lovely old Villiers Scrambler. But this has been a good battle here between Ian Stainton and Mike Walker. There's been nothing to choose between these two riders the entire afternoon, as we pick up number 310, Scott Remington there in the black on BSA Gold Star. In fact, this is the battle of the Gold Stars here, because the bike in front in the blue is number 89, I think that's Mike Bell, who's also riding a Gold Star. So this is a nice little scrap between these old British classics. So you can see it's a win for number 98, Liston Bell, and it looks like it's going to be Ian Stainton who's going to cross the line to take that second position from number 28, Mike Walker. So that quite nicely brings us on to race 10, and this is the pre-1984 250s class once again. Another nice lineup of bikes, some nice Suzuki RMs in there, and of course a right handful of those Honda 250 red Rockets. So we're just waiting on our official starter, Stuart Riddle, dropping the gate. As the gate goes down, it looks like Chris Cannon's made a good start there on the 250 Suzuki, and it is indeed. It looks like Chris Cannon's got the whole shot, but it looks like Clark Davidson is our early race leader as the riders leave the line to begin at lap 1. Now you can see that the sun has now popped its head through the clouds, and it's beginning to help to dry this track, so I don't think it'll be too long before we see the dust flying here at Wittas Park. But up at the front, it's still number 5 or number 15, Clark Davidson, who leads number 81, Chris Cannon, in second position. And I think it's number 72 that's currently in third place. That is, of course, George Dodgson. So here's our race leader coming round to complete lap 1. It's Clark Davidson on the Honda 250 red Rocket. Chris Cannon is currently still in second position, being challenged by George Dodgson in third. It looked like that was John Stokes there going through in fourth position. Mike Doby just making his way through there, number 72, and Andy Mallock, number 43. So it looks like the battle of the Honda 250 red Rockets at the front between this man here, number 5 or number 15, Clark Davidson, who's being chased by number 72, George Dodgson. Chris Cannon there in the yellow bike, the RM250 Suzuki, currently in third, and he's been chased by John Stokes, number 151, who I think is riding a much later version of a CR 250 Honda. So Clark Davidson is certainly off to a flyer in this race, and you may remember that we had a look at Clark's bike when we did our paddock walkabout. A nice looking 250 red rocket. George Dodgson is still there in second place, number 72. It's Chris Cannon, number 81 in third. John Stokes, number 151 in fourth. And number 4, 5, 6 just going through there. That looks like that could be Chris Kirkbride on his RM Suzuki. So this is the battle for second, third and fourth. And it looks like George Dodgson has dropped back to fourth position. So I don't know what's happened there. Maybe George has missed a couple of gears or went wide on a corner, because he's currently now in fourth position. So it's still Clark Davidson, your race leader, with Chris Cannon now in second position. John Stokes is third, and it's George Dodgson in fourth spot. But this man here looking very comfortable at this stage as he comes around to complete another racing lap. It's still Clark Davidson, your race leader. So Clark looking very good at this stage for a possible win. As we take a look at our fourth placed position rider, number 72, George Dodgson. He's chasing number 151, John Stokes. George was doing very well in the early laps of this race, so I don't know what's happened, if he's maybe had some kind of off-track excursion, because he's certainly dropped back down the pack. But Clark Davidson still going well on his 250 Red Rocket. But as I said, this is only the second round of the Scottish Classic Clubs Championship, because their 2024 championship has been shortened this year due to losing two of their early rounds in the spring at Forfar and at Lockerbie. So I think it's only going to be a 5-round championship for this year. But we're back with our race leader again, Clark Davidson, as he crosses the line to complete another racing lap, and it should be Chris Cannon who's still in second place, and it is indeed Chris Cannon, number 81. John Stokes, number 151, is in third. George Dodgson is in fourth spot. And just coming into view there is number 27. That's of course Mike Doby, who not surprisingly is riding another one of those Honda 250 Red Rockets. So we're back with our race leader again as he comes up to start his last and final lap. So this has been quite a dominant performance here from this man here, Clark Davidson, as he crosses the line to start his final lap of this 250 race. Looks like George Dodgson has certainly made up a few places. He's now up into second place, so it looks like George has made up those places again. Chris Cannon is now in third position, and it's John Stokes currently in fourth. So George has certainly got the hurry up in that last lap, and he's got those two places back that he had in the early laps of this race. Now, of course, George is still a good bit away from race leader Clark Davidson, but if he keeps it together in this final lap, he should be able to secure a good second place finish. So here's your race leader coming round to take the checkered flag. It's been quite a good ride here by Clark Davidson. Almost led this race from the start gate, so a very well deserved win for the man on the 250 Honda Red Rocket. So just coming into view now should be our second place man, number 72, Clark Davidson. It's going to be Chris Cannon in third, with John Stokes finishing in fourth. So next up we're on to race 11. This was the combined pre-1977s and the 1989 125s again. Looks like Mike McClurty's made quite a good start. It looks like number 51 Mark Silverton is in second position, with number 86 Mike Dalton in third. Number 217 just going through there is Peter Maxwell on that old 1970s Michael. So as they head up the hill for the very first time, it's number 416 Mike McClurty who leads number 51 Mark Silverton in second, and it's still number 86 Mike Dalton in third. Looks like we've a casualty there from the previous 250 race, number 110, who unfortunately is just listed in the race programme as simply Graham. So looks like Graham's not had such a great day on his 250 Michael there. But this man here at the front is having no such problems, because Mike McClurty has certainly been the dominant force in this 125 class. So as he comes round to complete lap one, it's Mike McClurty, your race leader, from number 51 Mark Silverton. Mike Dalton is still in third place, number 86. It looks like John Miller going through there in fourth position. Gillian Murray going through there again on the Can-Am, and number 217 is Peter Maxwell. But as I said earlier, a very good turnout of bikes for this round 2 event here at Wittas Park. So thanks to everybody who made the effort to put their entries in and attend this Scottish Classic round 2 event. We're looking at number 17, that's Mike van der Merwe on his RM 370 Suzuki. That's another bike that we had a look at in our paddock walkabout. But as you can see, it doesn't take long for this little 125 Honda of Mike McClurty's to complete a lap of this track, because that's lap number 2 completed for Mike, going very well on that little CR 125 Honda. Second position is still Mark Silverton. Third, looks like that could still be Mike Dalton in third position. It looks like Gillian Murray is still going well on the Can-Am, as we pick up Peter Maxwell again on his, I think it's a 1975 400 Michael. Looks like we've got a casualty there, talking to the medics, but it looks like the rider looks okay. So there's Mike McClurty completing another racing lap. So he's absolutely flying around this Wittas Park racetrack. So number 51 there is Mark Silverton, and I think Mark's actually dropped a place now, because it looks like he's down into third position. So it looks like Mike Dalton is now your second placed rider. But here's your race leader, number 416 Mike McClurty, who's already won 2 races in this 125 class, and he's got quite a substantial gap between himself and second place man, which is this man here, number 86 Mike Dalton. Mark Silverton coming up there in third position. So I don't know if Mark's maybe dropped the bike in one of the corners, or maybe missed a gear or ran wide, because he certainly dropped a place. He was running in second position to Mike McClurty. But here's your second place man crossing the line now. Number 86 is Mike Dalton, but it looks like Mark Silverton has made up that position again, and he moves up into second position. So Mark Silverton certainly on the move once again. And of course, this 125 race is a combined race between themselves and the pre-77s, although you probably noticed that there isn't too many pre-77 bikes in this race. There are about a handful, but certainly not that many. But here's your race leader coming round to take his third race win of the afternoon. So it's been another good ride here for this young man on this very quick little CR125 Honda. So it's a win for number 416 Mike McClurty, and it looks like it's going to be Mark Silverton who's going to come across the line in second position, with Mike Dalton finishing in third. So that brings us on to the third race for the big bikes of the pre-1984s over 250s. This is race 12, and this is usually the last race before they have the lunch break. So another good lineup of riders for this pre-1984 class race. We're just waiting on our chief starter, Stuart Riddle, dropping the gate. So it looks like Graham Riley has made another good start in this race. Remember, Graham's already won 2 races here this afternoon, so he looks like he's heading into the lead as they go into turn 2. So we're just looking to the top side of the track to pick up our bikes on lap 1. It's still Graham Riley, your early leader. We're taking a look at the second place man there with the white top, who unfortunately I'm unable to name because his rider number is not listed on any of the information that I have to hand. So I don't know who that rider is, but he's going very well there in second position. But there's no mistaking the man at the front here. It's still Graham Riley, number 711 on the big 480 two-stroke Honda. There's your second placed man, number 94 on the 490 Michael. Robert Smith is in third place. Keith Barnes is in fourth. I think that's Chris Rogerson that just went through there in fifth position. Andy Malik just going through there, number 43. And Keith Burse just going through on his big Honda, and that number 87 there is Darren Brown on his 79 440 Michael. So up at the front it's still number 711 Graham Riley, who again has already won 2 races this afternoon. So Graham looking good at this point. There's your second placed rider, which has number 94 on his bike, but unfortunately is not listed on any of the information that I have to hand. So I'm not sure who that number 94 rider is. But there's no doubt he's going very well here in second position, just ahead of third place man Robert Smith, number 291. So I do apologise for not being able to name the rider in second position. Robert Smith just going through there on that lovely black 490 Michael. Keith Barnes just making his way through there on the big CCM. David Loudon also making his way through on his YZ 490 Yamaha. So Graham Riley is a good bit down the track now, and here's the battle for second and third between our number 94 rider and Robert Smith, number 291. So these two having quite a good scrap for this second place position. But it's still Graham Riley here in command of this third pre-1984 class race. He's certainly been a dominant force in this class here this afternoon at Wittas Park. We'll take another look there at number 55. That's Keith Barnes. I think Keith's running in, I think it's about fourth position at this point. So this has still been a very good day for Keith on the CCM. But this man here has certainly been a class above in the pre-1984s. Graham Riley, he's dominated every race here this afternoon in this class. But it looks like Robert Smith has now passed our number 94 bike for that second place position. So Robert Smith going well on the black 490 Michael. He's moved up into second position now. And if you're a regular viewer of Classic Dirt Bike TV, you may remember I did a video on this machine a few years back. This black Michael, an absolutely beautiful looking machine, but Robert Smith going very well there in second position from number 94 in third. Keith Barnes is in fourth. Just coming through there, that looks like Jeffrey Wharton making his way through. Number 75 is David Loudon. Graham Smith there, number 233 on the RM 400 Suzuki. You can see the track conditions absolutely perfect for this kind of racing here at Wittas Park this afternoon. And here's your race leader coming round to begin his last and final lap of his pre-1984 class race. So this man here could possibly be on to win at number 3, Graham Riley. Still Robert Smith there, number 291 in second position, and our mysterious rider there at number 94 in third. And as I said, I'm unable to name that rider because he's not listed on any information that I've been supplied. For the rest of the pack coming across the line, number 233 is still Graham Smith on the Suzuki. Number 155 there is Andrew Barnes. And it looks like Graham's dropped his Suzuki into that corner, but he looks okay, and it looks like he's going to get the bike fired up again. So a slight miscalculation there by Graham on his Suzuki. But here's your race leader coming round to take win at number 3. So it's a hat-trick of wins for number 711 Graham Riley, and it should be Robert Smith there, number 291, who takes that second place position. And I think it's going to be a fourth place for this man here, number 55, Keith Barnes. It looks like Chris Rogerson's had some kind of mechanical problems with his Michael. You can just see Chris making his way back to the paddock there. Right, so that brings us on to the second part of the afternoon's race programme after the lunch break, and these are the age-related races, which of course are based on the age of the rider and not the kind of bike that he rides. So you'll see a nice combination of old classics racing against little 125s and 250s. So this will be race 13 for the pre-77s, under 60s, and of course the 125s as well. So as the riders leave the line, it's that man again, number 416, Mike McClurty, who seems to have got the whole shot. And as I said, because this is a combination between the different age groups, you can see a nice contrast between all the different makes and models of machines. So we're looking at the top side of the track. It's still Mike McClurty who leads this race in the little 125, and just behind Mike there is number 98. That's Liston Bell, who is out there again on his big single-cylinder Jawa machine. So there's a nice contrast there between the big 500 or 600cc Jawa machine and Mike McClurty's little 125 Honda two-stroke Screamer. So up at the front, it's still Mike McClurty who leads Liston Bell. Now, as you can see, the little CR125 Honda is quick, light and nimble compared to the big lumbering four-stroker of Liston Bell, but this little Honda will certainly be quick in the corners, but you can see Liston will close up once he gets a bit of the open track ahead of him. Number 86 there is Mike Dalton in third position. Number 17 again is Mike van der Merwe, who was riding a Suzuki in one of the other classes. He's now out this time on his CR125 Honda. Number 217 is Peter Maxwell. So up at the front it's still number 416 Mike McClurty, who, as I said, has already won 3 races here this afternoon. Second position is still Liston Bell. Looks like Liston's still managing to keep in touch with that little 125 Honda. So we'll certainly keep our eyes on these two to see if Liston can make his way past Mike McClurty's little 125. There's the rest of the chasing pack. That's number 254. That's John Miller. Just behind John is number 125 Ian Stainton. Gillian Murray going through there again on her Can-Am bike. So Gillian again still riding very well here at Wittas Park. And as I said, we will have all of the remaining races from this round 2 event in episode 3, which I'll get round to posting as soon as I can. So if you want to see the conclusion of all the remaining races, then look out for that final episode 3. So we're back with our race leaders again. Number 416 Mike McClurty, who leads number 98 at Liston Bell, and you can see that Mike McClurty isn't exactly pulling away from Liston Bell. In fact, Liston looks like he's going to have a go here around the outside, but unfortunately can't make it stick. But this is still quite a good race here, and a good contrast between the little 2-stroke 125 and the big single cylinder Jawa machine. But certainly Liston Bell there doing very well currently in second position. As we take a look at number 51, that's Mark Silverton. I'm not exactly sure what position Mark is in at this point, but number 81 there is Brian Stobart, and Brian's being chased by number 154, that's Gillian Murray, one of the lady riders here at Wittas Park this afternoon. Gillian doing very well on her Can-Am, and not only does Gillian race these classic bikes, she also races modern motocross machines as well, so she can certainly show the boys a thing or two about how to ride one of these motocross machines, and it's a far cry from her day job working in the bank. So we're back to our 2 front runners as they cross the line to start their last and final lap. It's still Mike McClurty with that slight advantage over number 98 Liston Bell. So this has been quite a good scrap from the start of this race. There's not been much to separate these two at the front, but currently it's Mike McClurty who is your race leader from Liston Bell in second. Looks like Mark Silverton there could be currently in third position with I think that number that's number 86, that'll be Mike Dalton currently in fourth spot. So once again Mark Silverton putting in another fine display, because I think he's had a couple of second place finishes already this afternoon. But here's the battle to the checkered flag between number 416 Mike McClurty and number 98 Liston Bell, but it looks like it's going to be Mike McClurty on the 125 who's going to take the win from Liston Bell in second position, and it looks like it's going to be number 51 Mark Silverton who's going to secure that third place finish. So we're going to move straight on to race 14 now. This is the pre-1977s over 60s and the over 65. So these are basically the veterans of the Classic Club. Looks like it's a good start by number 20 there. That's Stuart Roden on the big CCM. Good to see Stuart back on his bike again after a bit of a layoff. He's not raced for about a year or so, so it's good to see Stuart back on track once again. And as you can see, he's starting to get some of that speed back, but it looks like he's been challenged by number 28. That's Mike Walker on that KTM bike. Mike's done very well this afternoon on that old Classic, so he's going well again here in second position. But it's still number 20, Stuart Roden, your race leader on one of the many CCM bikes that Stuart owns. And Stuart was also a good friend of the late Alan Clues away back in the day, and I think Stuart still has one of the great John Banks's CCMs in his collection. It looked like Mike Walker was having a go there on the KTM, but Stuart's managed to get that track position back once again. But you can see that Mike Walker has made another move, and he now leads this race. So this is maybe an old vintage KTM, but it's still very quick, as you can see. So it's number 28 Mike Walker who's the race leader. Still number 20. Wait, what's happened here? It looks like Mike Walker has some kind of mechanical issue with that KTM, and there was me saying just how well Mike was going on that old bike, and the curse of the commentators strikes once again as we take a look at number 43. That's Andy Malik from Burrelton in Angus in Scotland, and Andy's out there on his CZ two-stroker. So with retirement of Mike Walker, that leaves this man here, number 20 Stuart Roden, with a comfortable lead on the CCM. So that takes the pressure off number 20 here, Stuart Roden, as he starts another racing lap. We're back once again with number 43 Andy Malik on what I think is a 360 CZ. And that looks like number 166, that's Alan Reid, who appears to be parked trackside on his Bull Taco. So it looks like Alan's got some kind of issues with his Spanish Bull Taco machine, but no such issues for this man here, number 20 Stuart Roden. Looking very comfortable. He's got a decent gap between himself and the second placed position rider. So Stuart well on his way to possibly his first win of the day. Number 9 there is Mike Bell on his old BSA Gold Star Classic. So we're looking at our race leader out there on his own. That's number 20 Stuart Roden, and you can see the track is beginning to dry very rapidly now, so it will not be long before the dust is starting to fly. But there's your race leader, looking very good at the front at number 20 Stuart Roden. But there's Mike Walker, who was going very well in the early stages of this race, pushing what looks like a dead KTM back to the paddock. I'm not exactly sure who is now in second position, because Stuart's got that much of a lead at the front as he crosses the line to start his last and final lap. So I don't think Stuart's going to be challenged before the end of this race. Alan Reid is still having problems with his Spanish Bull Taco there. So this certainly looks like it could be one of the easiest races that Stuart's had in quite some time, because it doesn't look like there's anybody close enough to even get near Stewart before the end of this race, so he's absolutely cruising to the finish line here on his CCM bike. That's of course not a fully original CCM bike, but I think that's a reproduction frame that Stewart has with the big BSA B50 engine. And I think this could be our second placed rider, number 43, Andy Malik. So Andy going well on the two-stroke CZ, but it's the first win of the day for this man here, number 20, Stuart Roden. So that brings us on to race 15 in the age-related races in the afternoon, and this is the pre-1984s under aged 58 years. So it looks like a good start again by Mr. Rocket Ship himself, number 711 Graham Riley on that super fast 480 Honda. But if these are the kind of videos you like to watch here on YouTube, then hopefully you'll maybe consider subscribing to my channel, or even just hit that like button. But if you do subscribe to my channel, then that way you'll be notified immediately every time I upload a new video. So let's pick up our riders again at the front. It's still Graham Riley who's your race leader. I think that's our number 94 rider in second position. Keith Barnes is currently in third. It looks like Robert Smith is in fourth. So Keith again going well on the big CCM. And just behind Keith is Robert Smith, and I can also see number 5 or number 15, Clark Davidson, out again on his CR250 Honda Red Rocket. But here's your race leader out there on his own as per usual. So it's another good start here by number 711 Graham Riley, who, as I said, has also won 3 races already this afternoon. Now that number 94 or 84 rider does have a name stamped on the side of his bike's side panel. It's M. Brock. Now I'm not sure what that rider's full name is. It could be Mark Brockhurst, but if you could possibly even name that rider and leave a message in the comment section below, we'll certainly put that to rights when we complete episode 3. Number 27 there, that's I think that's Mike Doby's old Michael, but I don't think it's Mike Doby that's riding the bike. Possibly Mike has loaned the bike to another rider, but it's still this man here, number 711 Graham Riley, who is absolutely motoring around this Wittas Park racetrack. So it looks like Graham could be possibly on to win at number 4. There's your second place man, number 291 Robert Smith on the 81 Mega 2 490 Michael. And just behind Robert there is in third position number 55 Keith Barnes, who has had an absolute belter of a day here at Wittas Park. So Keith has to be really chuffed at his performance, and of course the performance of the bike. Number 231 going through there is Jeff Wharton. But this man here, it has to be said, has certainly been the class of the field in the pre-1984 class. Graham Riley, there's not been anybody really who's got close enough to touch him, so it's been quite a dominant performance. But Robert Smith still going well here on the 490 Michael in second position. So Robert's another rider that certainly performed well here this afternoon. Number 231 just going through is Jeff Wharton. Number 89 I think is Graham Smith. And just coming towards us there, number 149, I think that's could be Gavin Lowes. And you can see that Gavin's also riding one of those big bore CR 480 Hondas. So we're back up with our race leader again, Graham Ridley, who appears to be having quite an easy day at the office on his 480 Honda, absolutely cruising around the track now, heading for possibly his fourth win of the afternoon. So another good ride here by Graham on that big bore Honda. And it's still this man here, number 55, Keith Barnes, who is still in third position, just behind Robert Smith. So another very good performance by Keith on the big CCM. But here's your race leader as he starts his last and final lap of this race. It's still Graham Ridley out there in front as he heads to the top section of the racetrack to start his last lap. So Graham Ridley certainly in cruise control, as he has been, of course, the entire afternoon, because once Graham hit the front, there was virtually no other challengers during the races. So it's been another quite good and dominant performance by Graham. But let's not forget the lads behind. Second place there is Robert Smith. But it's a win for Graham Ridley with Robert Smith in second position. So that brings us around to the final race for this episode 2, and this is race 16 in the pre-1984 aged 58 years and over class. And it looks like this time round it's number 75, I think that's David Loudon on the 490 YZ Yamaha, who's hit the front. You can just see David coming down the hill there. Second place is Chris Cannon on the Suzuki. It looks like Graham Smith is in third position. We're taking a look at number 43, that's Andy Malak. I think Andy's riding his 250 Montesa Capra this time round rather than his CZ. Number 29 on the left hand side there is Derek Macaulay, riding I think it's a 250 CR Honda. But here's your race leader coming round to complete lap 1. It's number 75, David Loudon on that very quick 490 YZ Yamaha. Second place is still Chris Cannon. Third is Graham Smith on the IT Yamaha. Number 29 again is Derek Macaulay, followed by Andy Malak. Number 37 there is David Herdman on the 250 Honda red Rocket, but of course not red, but all decked out in white livery, so I suppose it will be a white Rocket. And here's your race leader. It's number 75, David Loudon. A very quick rider, David, on these YZ Yamahas. So he's coming around to complete lap 2. So David's made a very good start here in this pre-1984 class race. But we do have one final episode left to bring you the remaining races from this event. So look out for part 3, which will be coming soon. So David Loudon appears to have stretched his lead in this race. He's got quite a good gap between himself and the second placed rider, so he's going very well on that YZ Yamaha. There's your second place man heading up the hill. It's number 81, Chris Cannon on the Suzuki, followed by number 233, Graham Smith on the IT Yamaha. So David Loudon crossing the line to start another racing lap. I think it's still Chris Cannon there, number 81 in second. Still Graham Smith in third. Graham, of course, riding one of those old IT 250 Yamahas. So we're back with our race leader once again, number 75, David Loudon, as he comes across the line to complete another racing lap. So David still going very well at the front of this pack. Currently it's still number 81 there, Chris Cannon in second, with Graham Smith in third. So these three appear to be still doing their very best to try and close in on that quite substantial gap that David Loudon has at this stage. But you can see there's not much to choose between these second, third and fourth placed riders. It's still Chris Cannon in second position on the Suzuki, followed by Graham Smith on whoops. It looks like Graham missed a gear there going up the hill and nearly lost track position. I think that could be number 155. That could be Andrew Barnes in fourth place there on the 490 Michael, but at this point I can't make out the rider's number. But here's your race leader coming around again to complete another lap, David Loudon, number 75, and I think this time round will possibly be the start of his last and final lap of this race as he crosses the line. So as they start the final lap, it looks like Chris Cannon is still in second, but it looks like it could possibly be Andrew Barnes who's moved up into third place ahead of Graham Smith. So Andrew Barnes is certainly on a flyer here on this last lap, and it looks like he could be challenging Chris Cannon for that second placed position. So he's certainly closing in on Chris Cannon's Suzuki. But Andrew's running out of track here on this last lap, because we've only got 1 or 2 turns to go before the end of this race. So Chris Cannon certainly hanging on there to second place from Andrew Barnes in third. But there's your race leader coming round to take his first win of the day. So a big well done to number 75 there, David Loudon, and we're just waiting to see who's going to cross the line in second, and it looks like it's going to be Chris Cannon in second, with Andrew Barnes taking that third spot. So that's most of the racing highlights for this part 2 episode. So I do hope that you will either subscribe or rejoin us when we take a look at the last and final episode from the Scottish Classic Round 2 event here at Wittas Park.